Hello, family. All praises and blessings to Yahuwah, the Creator. Hope, pray everyone is doing well. We left off in the last video in the book of Jasher at chapter 77. And we will begin in the book of Jasher, chapter 77, verse 1. Adikam was 20 years old when he reigned over Egypt. He reigned 4 years. 2. In the 206th year of Israel's going down to Egypt did Adikam reign over Egypt. But he continued not so long in his reign over Egypt as his fathers had continued their reign. 3. For Melol, his father, reigned 94 years in Egypt, but he was sick 10 years and died, for he had been wicked before the Lord. 4. And all the Egyptians called the name of Adikam Pharaoh, like the name of his fathers, and was their custom to do in Egypt. 5. And all of the wise men of Pharaoh called the name of Adikam Ahuz. For short, it's called Ahuz in the Egyptian language. 6. Adikam was greatly ugly, and he was a cubit and a span, and he had a great beard which reached to the soles of his feet. 7. And Pharaoh sat on his father's throne to reign over Egypt, and he conducted the government of Egypt in his wisdom. 8. While he reigned, he exceeded his father and all the preceding kings in the wickedness, and he increased his yoke over the children of Israel. 9. And when he went with his servants to Goshen to the children of Israel, and he strengthened the labor over them, and he said to them, complete your work, each day's task, and let not your hands slacken from our work from this day forward, as you did in the days of my father. 10. He placed officers over them from among the children of Israel, and over these officers he placed taskmasters from among his servants. 11. And he placed over them a measure of brick for them to do according to that number, day by day. And he turned back and went to Egypt. 12. At that time, the taskmasters of Pharaoh ordered the officers of the children of Israel, according to the command of Pharaoh, saying, 13. Thus says Pharaoh, do your work each day, and finish your task, and observe the daily measure of bricks. Diminish not anything. 14. And it shall come to pass that if you are deficient in your daily bricks, I will put your young children in their stead. 15. And the taskmasters of Egypt did so in those days as Pharaoh had ordered them. 16. And whenever any deficiency was found in the children of Israel's measure of their daily bricks, the taskmasters of Pharaoh would go to the wives of the children of Israel and take infants of the children of Israel to the number of bricks deficient. They would take them by force from their mother's lap and put them in the building instead of the bricks. And they want us to treat them nice today. 17. While their fathers and mothers were crying over them and weeping when they heard the weeping voices of their infants in the wall of the building. 18. And the taskmasters prevailed over Israel. that the Israelites should place their children in the building, so that a man placed his son in the wall and put mortar over him, while his eyes wept over him, and his tears ran down on his child. 19. And the taskmasters of Egypt did so to the babies of Israel for many days, and no one pitied or had compassion over the babies of the children of Israel. 20. And the number of all the children killed in the building was 270, some whom they had built on instead of the bricks, which had been left deficient by their fathers, and some whom they had drawn out dead from the building. 21. And the labor imposed on the children of Israel in the days of Anakim exceeded in hardship that which they performed in the days of his father. 22. The children of Israel sighed every day on account of their heavy work, for they had said to themselves, certainly when Pharaoh dies, his son will raise up and lighten our work. 23. But they increased the latter work more than the former, and the children of Israel sighed at this, and their cry ascended to the Most High on account of their labor. 24. The Most High heard the voice of the children of Israel and their cry in those days. And the Most High remembered to them his covenant which he had made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. 25. And the Most High saw the burden of the children of Israel and their heavy work in those days, and he determined to deliver them. 26. Moses, the son of Amram, was still confined in the dungeon in those days, in the house of Reuel, the Midianite. And Zipporah, the daughter of Reuel, supported him with food secretly day by day. 27. Moses was confined in the dungeon in the house of Reuel for 10 years. 28. And at the end of the 10 years, which was the first year of the reign of Pharaoh over Egypt, in the place of his father, 29. Zipporah said to her father Reuel, no person inquires or seeks after the Hebrew man, whom you bound in prison now 10 years. 30. So therefore, if it seems good in your sight, let us send and see whether he is living or dead. But her father knew not that she had supported him. 31. And Reuel, her father, answered and said to her, has ever such a thing happened that a man would be shut up in a prison without food for 10 years, and that he should live? 32. And Zipporah answered her father, saying, certainly you have heard that the Most High of the Hebrews is great and mighty, and does wonders for them all at all times. 33. He it was who delivered Abraham from the Chaldeans, and Isaac from the sword of his father, and Jacob from the angel of the Lord, who wrestled with him at the ford of Jabbok. 34. Also with this man he has done many things. He delivered him from the river in Egypt, and from the sword of Pharaoh, and from the children of Cush. So also he can deliver him from the famine and make him live. 35. And the thing seemed good in the sight of Reuel, and he did according to the word of his daughter, and sent to the dungeon to ascertain what became of Moses. 36. He saw, and behold, the man Moses was living in the dungeon, standing on his feet, praising and praying to the Most High of his ancestors. 37. And Reuel commanded Moses to be brought out of the dungeon. So they shaved him, and he changed his prison garments and ate bread. 38. And afterward Moses went into the garden of Reuel, which was behind the house. And he there prayed to the Lord, his Elohim, who had done mighty wonders for him. 39. It was while he prayed, he looked opposite to him, and there a sapphire stick was placed in the ground, which was planted in the midst of the garden. 40. He approached the stick and looked, and saw the name of the Lord, Elohim of hosts, was engraved on it, written and developed on the stick. 41. And he read it and stretched forth his hand, and he plucked it like a forest tree from the thicket, and the stick was in his hand. 42. This is the stick with which all the works of our Elohim were performed, after he had created heaven and earth and all the host of them, seas, rivers, and all their fish. 43. And when the Most High had driven Adam from the Garden of Eden, he took the stick in his hand and went and tilled the ground from which he was taken. 44. The stick came down to Noah and was given to Shem and his descendants until it came into the hand of Abraham the Hebrew. 45. And when Abraham had given all he had to his son Isaac, he also gave to him the stick. 46. When Jacob had fled to Paddan Aram, he took it into his hand, and when he returned to his father, he had not left it behind him. 47. Also, when he went down to Egypt, he took it into his hand and gave it to Joseph, one portion above his brothers, for Jacob had taken it by force from his brother Esau. 48. After the death of Joseph, the nobles of Egypt came into the house of Joseph, and the stick came into the hand of Reuel the Midianite. When he went out of Egypt, he took it in his hand and planted it in his garden. 49. And all the mighty men of the Kenites tried to pluck it when they endeavored to get Zipporah, his daughter, but they were unsuccessful. Almost like the movie Excalibur with the sword and the stone, and only the son or King Arthur supposedly could pull it out. That's where they got that story from, right here in the scriptures of Jasher. 50. That stick remained planted in the garden of Reuel until he, who had a right to it, came and took it. 51. And when Reuel saw the stick in the hand of Moses, he wondered at it, and he gave him his daughter Zipporah for a wife. And that's the end of chapter 77. We will begin in chapter 78, verse 1. At that time, Baal-Canaan, son of Akbar, king of Edom, died and was buried in his house in the land of Edom. After his death, the children of Esau sent to the land of Edom, and took from there a man who was in Edom, whose name was Hadad. And they made him king over them in the place of Baal Canaan, their king. 3. And Hadad reigned over the children of Edom 48 years. 4. When he reigned, he resolved to fight against the children of Moab, to bring them under the power of the children of Esau, as they were before. Excuse me. But he was not able to, because the children of Moab heard this thing. And they rose up and hurried to elect a king over them from among their brothers. 5. After they gathered together a large crowd and sent them to the children of Ammon, their brothers, for help to fight against Hadad, king of Edom. 6. And Hadad heard the thing which the children of Moab had done, and was greatly afraid of them, and refrained from fighting against them. 7. In those days Moses, the son of Amram, in Midian, took Zipporah, the daughter of Reuel the Midianite, for a wife. 8. And Zipporah walked in the ways of the daughters of Jacob. She was nothing short of the righteousness of Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah. 9. And Zipporah conceived and gave birth to a son, and he called his name Gershom. For he said, I was a stranger in a foreign land. But he circumcised not his foreskin, at the command of Reuel, his father-in-law. 10. And she conceived again, and gave birth to a son, but circumcised his foreskin, and called his name Eliezer. For Moses said, because the Most High of my fathers was my help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. 11. And Pharaoh, king of Egypt, greatly increased the labor of the children of Israel in those days, and continued to make his yoke heavier on the children of Israel. 12. And he ordered an announcement to be made in Egypt, saying, give no more straw to the people to make bricks with. Let them go and gather themselves straw as they can find it. 13. Also the number of bricks which they shall make, let them give each day, and diminish nothing from them, for they are idle in their work. 14. And the children of Israel heard this, and they mounted, and they mourned and sighed, and they cried to the Lord on account of the bitterness of their souls. 15. And the Lord heard the cries of the children of Israel, and saw the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. 16. And the Lord was zealous for his people and his inheritance, and heard their voice, and he resolved to take them out of the affliction of Egypt, to give them the land of Canaan for a possession. That's the end of chapter 78, which began in chapter 79, verse 1. In those days, Moses was feeding the flock of Reuel the Midianite, his father-in-law, beyond the wilderness of Sin. And the stick which he took from his father-in-law was in his hand. 2. And it came to pass one day that a kid of goats strayed from the flock, and Moses pursued it, and it came to the mountain of the Most High, to Horeb. 3. When he came to Horeb, the Lord appeared there to him in the bush, And he found the bush burning with fire, but the fire had no power over the bush to consume it. 4. Moses was greatly astonished at this sight because the bush was not consumed, and he approached to see the mighty thing. The Lord called to Moses out of the fire and commanded him to go down to Egypt, to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to send the children of Israel from his service. 5. And when the Lord said to Moses, "Go, return to Egypt, for all those men who sought your life are dead. And you shall speak to Pharaoh to send forth the children of Israel from his land." 6. The Lord showed him to do signs and wonders in Egypt before the eyes of Pharaoh and the eyes of his subjects, in order that they might believe that the Lord had sent him. 7. Moses listened to all that the Lord had commanded him, and he returned to his father-in-law and told him these things. And Reuel said to him, "Go in peace." 8. And Moses rose up to go to Egypt and took his wife and sons with him. He was at an inn in the road, like a hotel, an inn. And an angel of the Most High came down and sought an occasion against him. 9. He wished to kill him on account of his firstborn son, because he had not circumcised him and had gone contrary to the covenant which the Lord had made with Abraham. 10. For Moses had listened to the words of his father-in-law, which he had spoken to him, not to circumcise his firstborn son. So he did not circumcise him. 11. Zipporah saw the angel of the Lord seeking an occasion against Moses, and she knew that this thing was because of his not having circumcised her son Gershom. 12. Zipporah hurried and took some of the sharp rock stones that were there, and circumcised her son, and delivered her husband and her son from the hand of the angel of the Lord. 13. Aaron, the son of Amram, the brother of Moses, was in Egypt, walking at the river side on that day. 14. And the Lord appeared to him in that place. He said to him, "Go now toward Moses in the wilderness." And he went and met him in the mountain of the Most High, and he kissed him. 15. Aaron lifted up his eyes and saw Zipporah, the wife of Moses, and their children. And he said to Moses, "Who are these to you?" 16. And Moses said to him, "They are my wife and my sons, which the Most High gave to me in the Midian." The thing grieved Aaron on account of the woman and her children. 17. Aaron said to Moses, "Send away the woman and her children, that they may go to her father's house." And Moses listened to the words of Aaron and did so. 18. Zipporah returned with her children, and they went to the house of Reuel, and remained there until the time arrived when the Lord had visited his people and brought them forth from Egypt, from the hand of Pharaoh. 19. Moses and Aaron came to Egypt to the community of the children of Israel, and spoke to them all the words of the Lord. And the people rejoiced a very great rejoicing. 20. Moses and Aaron rose up early the next day and went to the house of Pharaoh, and they took in their hands the stick of the Most High. 21. When they came to the king's gate, 2 young lions were confirmed there with iron instruments. No person went out or came in before them, unless those whom the king ordered to come. When the conjurers came and withdrew the lions by their incantations, and this brought them to the king. 22. Moses hurried and lifted up the stick to the lions and loosed them. And Moses and Aaron came into the king's house. 23. The lions also came with them in joy, and they followed them and rejoiced as a dog rejoices over his master when he comes from the field. When Pharaoh saw this thing, he was astonished at it and was greatly terrified at the report. For their appearance was like the appearance of the children of the Most High. 25. And Pharaoh said to Moses, "What do you require?" And they answered him, saying, "The Lord Elohim of the Hebrews has sent us to you, to say, send forth my people, that they may serve me." 26. When Pharaoh heard their words, he was greatly terrified before them. And he said to them, "Go today and come back to me tomorrow." And they did according to the word of the king. 27. When they had gone, Pharaoh sent for Balaam the magician, and to Jannes and Jambres, his sons, and to all the magicians and conjurers and counselors which belonged to the king. They all came and sat before the king. 28. And the king told them all the words which Moses and his brother Aaron had spoken to him. The magicians said to the king, "But how could the men come to you on account of the lions which were confined at the gate?" 29. The king said, "Because they lifted up their rod against the lions and loosed them and came to me. And the lions also rejoiced at them as a dog rejoices to meet his master." 30. Balaam, the son of Beor, the magician, answered the king, saying, "These are none other than magicians like ourselves." 31. So now send for them and let them come, and we will try them. And the king did so. 32. In the morning, Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron to come before the king. And they took the rod of the Most High and came to the king and spoke to him, saying, 33. Thus saith the Lord Elohim of the Hebrews, send away my people that they may serve me. 34. And the king said to them, "But who will believe you that you are the messengers of the Most High, and that you come to me by his order?" 35. Now, therefore, give a wonder or sign in this matter, and then the words which you speak will be believed. 36. Aaron hurried and threw the rod out of his hand before Pharaoh and before his serpents, and the rod turned into a serpent. Before his servants, and the rod turned into a serpent. Sorry. 37. The sorcerers saw this, and each man cast his rod on the ground, and they became serpents. 38. The serpent of Aaron's rod lifted up its head and opened its mouth to swallow the rods of the magicians. 39. Balaam the magician answered and said, "This thing has been from the days of old, that a serpent should swallow its fellow, and that living things devour each other." 40. So now restore it to a rod as it was at first, and we will also restore our rods as they were at first. And if your rod shall swallow our rods, we will know that the Spirit of the Most High is in you, and if not, you are only a magician like ourselves. 41. Aaron hurried and stretched forth his hand and caught hold of the serpent's tail, and it became a rod in his hand. The sorcerers did the same with their rod, and got hold, each man of the tail of his serpent, and they became rods as at first. 42. When they were restored to rods, the rod of Aaron swallowed up their rods. 43. And when the king saw this thing, he ordered the book of the records that related to the kings of Egypt to be brought. They brought the book of records, the chronicles of the kings of Egypt, in which all the idols of Egypt were inscribed. For they thought they would find there the name of Jehovah, but they found it not. 44. And Pharaoh said to Moses and Aaron, Behold, I have not found the name of your Elohim written in this book, and his name I do not know. 45. See, I should have said the Most High. Forgive me. The name of Yah to be found in their book. 45. The counselors and wise men answered the king, We have heard that the Most High of the Hebrews is a son of the wise, the son of ancient kings. 46. Pharaoh turned to Moses and Aaron and said to them, I know not the Lord whom you have declared, neither will I send his people away. And they answered and said to the king, The Lord Elohim of gods is his name. He proclaimed his name over us from the days of our ancestors and sent us, saying, Go to Pharaoh and say to him, Send my people away that they may serve me. 48. Now therefore send us that we may take a journey for 3 days in the wilderness and there may sacrifice to him. For from the days of our going down to Egypt, he has not taken from our hands either burnt offerings, oblation, or sacrifice. If you will not send us, the anger will be set ablaze against you, and he will strike Egypt either with the plague or with the sword. 49. And Pharaoh said to them, Tell me now his power and his might. They said to him, He created the heaven and the earth, the seas and all their fish. He formed the light, created the darkness, caused rain on the earth and watered it, and made the herbage and grass sprout. He created man and beast and the animals of the forest, the birds of the air and the fish of the sea, and by his mouth they live and die. 50. Certainly he created you in your mother's womb and put into you the breath of life, and reared you and placed you on the royal throne of Egypt. And he will take your breath and soul from you and return you to the ground from where you were taken. 51. And the anger of the king was set ablaze at their words, and he said to them, But who among all the Elohims of nations can do this? My river is my own, and I have made it for myself. 52. And he drove them from him. He ordered the labor on Israel to be more severe than it was yesterday and before. 53. Moses and Aaron went out from the king's presence, and they saw the children of Israel in an evil condition, for the taskmasters had made their labor extremely heavy. 54. Moses returned to the Lord and said, Why have you ill-treated your people? For since I came to speak to Pharaoh, what you sent me for, he has greatly ill-used the children of Israel. 55. The Lord said to Moses, Look, and you will see that with an outstretched hand and heavy plagues, Pharaoh will send the children of Israel from his land. 56. And Moses and Aaron lived among their brothers, the children of Israel in Egypt. 57. As for the children of Israel, the Egyptians embittered their lives with the heavy work which they imposed on them. And that's the end of chapter 79. Thank you very much for listening and understanding, family. We'll stay on track